Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there. It is Friday, so I imagine most of us are feeling fantastic. I know I am. I'm feeling really good, ready for the weekend. I haven't had pizza since like December 30th, so I'm having pizza for the first time this weekend in a month and a half. I was trying to hold out until it snowed here. That was a pact I made with myself. Do not eat pizza until we get some winter weather here in central South Carolina. But I'm giving in. I love pizza way too much, so I'm going to enjoy myself this weekend. But enough of all that. But we're going to talk about the weather like we always do in this morning's video. We're going to speak on, obviously, what's going to happen weather-wise for the entire lower 48, but we'll speak heavily on what's going on right now until through the day period all the way into the overnight hours as we're watching a quick hitting snowstorm. It's already affecting areas of the Midwest this morning. We'll continue to trail off into areas of the Ohio Valley and then the Mid-Atlantic. So we'll get very detailed on that right off the dot. We'll kind of switch the video up a little bit, speak on the system first, and then speak on the rest of the forecast for everybody else. So we'll get very detailed with you, show you these awesome graphics, and this will be the last video we get super detailed on this. I'm not sure if I'll get a video out this evening. Friday nights are always, just a little crazy, and just the weekends are always crazy just in general, just a lot going on. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. I'm a couple videos behind on comments. After this video, I'll be 3 videos behind on comments, so I'll get caught up with all that this afternoon. But yeah, let's get rocking and rolling. So as you can tell, there's snow flying around across areas of the Midwest. Some snow trying to get as far north as Chicago this morning. You'll probably switch to some heavy snow sometime in the next couple of hours in St. Louis if you haven't done it already by the time you're watching this video. There's our moisture that once upon a time, maybe was going to provide a winter weather threat for the southeast, but it takes 2 to tango, and they are not going to tango. We need this cold air. We need this northern stream energy to combine with the southern stream energy, and it's missing by a couple states. So we're not going to get that to happen, but we are going to get some snow across, areas of like the Mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley. We got lake effect snow running pretty good across New York State. We got a pretty epic lake effect snow band ongoing right now, and just dropping inch and a half per hour rates across central sections of New York State. You guys have to let me know what you've been seeing, but we got lake effect snow bands going off all the Great Lakes, Superior, Michigan, Huron, even a little bit of energy flowing off, Lake Erie, definitely Lake Ontario. And we just got a lot of light snow flying around across the Northeast, and just a little bit of moisture out west. Not a big deal at all, nothing you guys can't handle. Storm Prediction Center. There's a general risk of just thunderstorms today. But guys, I would not be surprised one bit, and I'll talk more about this here in a second, is if Arkansas gets a marginal risk for hail. I really am very surprised they don't have just a very small marginal risk up here in this section right here of Arkansas, but they don't. I do think we'll get some thunderstorms that will produce hail kind of on the warmer side of this system. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden you get an increased hail threat somewhere in here today. But as of right now, just a general risk of thunderstorms. Chance for flash flooding is below 5%. So, of course, it does not show up on this map. I don't think we have to worry anything about flooding today. So there's that. So we look at watches, warnings, advisories. The purples are the winter weather advisories. The pinks are the winter storm warnings. And then there's still people in just winter storm watches. Now, I think by the time we move into the next 4 to 6 hours, sorry I'm moving around so much, not very comfortable in this chair. I need a new chair. As we get into the next, I would say 3 to 6 hours, some of these areas will start to get highlighted in pink. You might get upgrades to winter storm warnings in areas of like southern PA. You might even get an upgrade to winter storm warnings around the DC, Baltimore area. Right now, I will tell you right at the dot, your areas have actually bumped up as far as snowfall totals for just about everybody across the board. And I'll show you that here in a second. But, just winter storm watches in the teal where, they're saying, I think they got these up because they're saying, hey, we could get a bump up to a winter storm warning in these areas. But you got winter weather advisories going right to the heart of Illinois, Indianapolis now, Cincinnati, Louisville, down to Lexington, Kentucky, and just about all of eastern Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia, up to Columbus, Dayton. So All right, let's start this off. And, we're not going to speak much on Iowa or Missouri. We will speak a little bit on St. Louis just because it's still on the screen here. But we're going to start off by looking at the Ohio Valley here. But we're starting off this morning. This is around 7 a.m. Eastern time, so here in the next hour or so. But we keep this going. I think you will struggle with mixing a little bit in St. Louis for a period, but I think you will abruptly switch to some heavy snow. But we'll stop it here. This is around 10, 11 a.m. out here in Central Time. We got this stripe of not just light snow, but moderate to heavy snow going right through the heart of Illinois. Snow moving right through central sections of Indiana, even north central sections of Indiana. It's snowing pretty good in Indianapolis by the time we get into the next couple hours. And then by the time we get to, I would say around lunchtime, I think we're going to get a few hour period of some pretty heavy snow in St. Louis. Check out the snow flying around. Still raining down here in southern sections of Illinois. Not snowing yet down here in Evansville and just southern sections of Indiana, but still snowing up here in Indianapolis. And then we take it all the way to about 3 p.m. this afternoon. Still got some snow flying around in St. Louis, but I think you're kind of at the end of the system. And as you can tell, there's some thunderstorms down here in Arkansas, western Tennessee. I'm telling you, I think that these could produce some small hail. But talking about the colder side again, snowing pretty good in the southern half of Illinois. Still struggling with mixing all the way down here in extreme southern Illinois. But, you check out Indiana, guys. It's snowing pretty good for almost the entire state except extreme far northern Indiana, and you're still mixing down here in Evansville. But you take it all the way at this point to around 5 p.m. Now it's snowing down here in southern sections of Indiana. You could get a 1 to 2 hour period of some snow down here in extreme southern sections of Illinois, but check out the snow moving in through the heart of Ohio now. Columbus, Cincinnati, Louisville, you're all snowing at this point. Rain switches to snow in Frankfort, Kentucky. Lexington, Kentucky is what I meant to say. But you got some moderate to heavy snow slashing right through the heart of Ohio, right through Ohio. How far north will it get up in Cleveland? I think you'll get some light to moderate snow for a period. But, look at all this heavy snow sort of along the border of Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, all the way up through Ohio. And then we take it to about 8, 9 p.m. Let's go on and move it a little bit further. Let's take it to about 9 to 10 p.m. Snowing in Lexington, snowing through the heart of Kentucky, central Kentucky, snowing. I think you finally switched to a period of snow down here in Bowling Green. It's snowing really good in Charleston, West Virginia, the upper panhandle, whatever panhandle y'all call this of West Virginia. I don't know if you call it the western panhandle of West Virginia or whatever you may call it. But this area right in here, definitely snowing pretty good in just about all of West Virginia, except southern sections of West Virginia. I think you'll get probably the least snow is what I meant to say. I can't speak right out of everybody in this region. But I think you will switch to some snow also. But as we start to get to the nighttime hours, at this point it's around 11 p.m., midnight. I think everybody in West Virginia will switch to snow. And then I think you'll eventually switch to some snow in southeastern Kentucky. And I do think you have a chance to switch from rain to some snow for about an hour somewhere in probably the upper Cumberland Plateau, the northern Cumberland Plateau of Tennessee, and then this moves on off. A little bit of snow flying around the higher elevations of Tennessee and North Carolina. So a broad look at the National Weather Service. As you can tell, it's increased. It's bumped up. If you tuned in from last night, this is a pretty big bump up. It's more filled in. It's more broad. You can see more blues on your screen. And just basically a stripe of anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snow is expected right through Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And they bumped it up a little bit for Kentucky, and now they bumped it up for the lower elevations of West Virginia. So we're going to go on and just zoom into these graphics because obviously you can't see any town names on this. We'll take one last look at St. Louis. It's already snowing north of St. Louis, expecting final. This isn't added to what y'all already got. This is final tally in this region, but Bowling Green, Missouri, 3 to 5 inches of snow. Getting to Springfield, Illinois. I think someone said I mixed the Springfields up in last night's video. I do apologize. 2 to 3 inches of snow in St. Louis. Hopefully your area shows on your screen. They do a great job of showing multiple town names here, and the folks at the National Weather Service in St. Louis. One of the National Weather Services here in Illinois, Springfield 3 to 5. Edwardsville 2 to 3, Litchfield 2 to 4, Effingham 2 to 4 inches of snow, Champaign 3 to 4 inches of snow, Bloomington 2 to 3, Peoria 1 to 2 inches of snow, in these areas. So they've bumped up the forecast in this region for sure. A little bit further south, we get into the southern sections of Illinois. If you're tuning in for this area, let me know. Mount Vernon, Marion, they're not calling for much in these areas. They're not. Evansville going for a trace to 2 inches, but you could overachieve down here. It's just how quickly can you turn to snow. But when you do turn to snow in these areas, it could snow pretty heavily for a period. And then we move back into Indiana. They bumped up the snowfall forecast for areas of Indiana. 1 to 2 inches of now is forecast in Fort Wayne, Rochester 1 to 2 inches, Huntington 2 to 3, Marion 2 to 3, Portland 2 to 3. So they bumped it up a little bit in this area. Defiance, Ohio 1 to 2 inches of snow. And then we move a little bit further south. They bumped it up for this area too. Now up to 3 to 4 inches of snow forecast in Indianapolis. It's going to be a nice snowy afternoon, snowy evening on a Friday. The best day of the week. I always thought it's awesome when you can get a nice snowstorm that moves in right at the beginning of the weekend. This is going to be nice. Create a nice wintry scene across this area. It's hard to complain about just a 3 to 4 inches of snow. That's not going to kill nobody, right? It's not going to bother anybody. Of course, we know wrecks can happen and bad things can happen, but this is a nice, pleasant snowfall, in my opinion. I know not everybody's going to agree, though. 3 to 4 inches of snow in Indianapolis, and just a nice snow right across the heart of Indiana for sure. Then we move a little bit further south. Louisville going for about an inch now. Frankfort an inch. Lexington, Kentucky 1 to 2 inches of snow now. Hopefully it shows your area on the screen here. Salem 2 to 3 inches of snow. Go back up to Cleveland area now, going for about an inch or two of snow. Just in general 1 to 2 inches of snow in northern Ohio. Not a big deal at all. Erie is going to get some lake enhancement, so this is part of that lake enhancement also. I would say mainly the lake enhancement, about 3 to 4 inches of snow. And then we move a little bit further south in Ohio, Dayton 2 to 3, Cincinnati now up to 2 to 3 inches of snow, Columbus 2 to 3 inches of snow. So you bumped up in this area. You bumped up across the board, guys. So if you're a snow fan, you're definitely waking up a little excited in this region. It's just been the winter of light to moderate events in this area. Then we go to the National Weather Service in Jackson, Kentucky. Hazard going for an inch or less. You do have winter weather advisories down here. You could overachieve. Mount Vernon 1 to 2 inches of snow. These areas, some of these areas kind of got ripped off of the last system a few days ago. Maybe you'll get you a couple inches of snow with this. And then the last one we'll show for this area. Remember last night they were showing an inch or less in Charleston, West Virginia, I think. Now they're up to 2 to 3 inches of snow. So that's a nice snowfall. Snowshoe 6 to 8 now. Elkins 4 to 6. Clarksburg 3 to 4 inches of snow. Somerville 4 to 6 inches. Beckley now up to 2 to 3. So a nice snowfall even for the lower elevations of West Virginia. All right, let's talk about the Mid-Atlantic. So here comes the snow moving in. You see it snowing in Pittsburgh. As we are getting into this evening, it's around 7 p.m. this evening. Snow's already falling in Pittsburgh. Snow quickly takes over, the northern 2/3 of West Virginia. It's going to be snowing pretty good, too, later this evening. If you pick this weekend to go to the higher elevations of West Virginia, you're really lucked out. It's going to be a very wintry weekend. But check out the snow taking over most of Pennsylvania now. The further south you get, the heavier the snow will get. The further north you get, the lighter it gets, but the more colder it is. So it's not going to have an issue accumulating at all. By the time let's go on and just take it to about midnight tonight. Let's take it about midnight, 1 a.m. tonight. Snow's knocking on the doorstep of Washington, D.C., Baltimore. If this is correct, just north of that rain-snow line, you're going to get a period of very heavy snow in northern VA. Snowing in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, those higher elevations of West Virginia, getting a good bit of snow in this situation. If you look right up here, it's snowing pretty good in New York City now. Snow just abruptly moves into New York City right in the middle of the night tonight. It's snowing in Long Island. Snowing pretty good in Philadelphia, and this is moving to about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning tonight. I'm not talking about tomorrow night. I'm talking about tonight, guys. And there's an abrupt cutoff with the snow in Pennsylvania, but I think a lot of these areas, even up to the Binghamton region, southern sections of New York State could get some snow, and it's much colder up here. So, if you're getting some light to moderate snow up here in like north of New York City, up to the Catskills, the temperature is going to be well into the 20s. So you're not going to have any issue accumulating up here. This will be a colder system up here than the last one we dealt with. But check this out. You see this corridor right here through the Delmarva of that darker blue? That is where you're going to get that 1 to 2 inch per hour rates tonight into the wee hours of the morning. Very heavy snow. And then we continue to move until about 5, 6 a.m. Snow's getting all the way to like Hartford, Connecticut, all the way up to the southern coastline of Rhode Island. Connecticut, even out into Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Cape Cod. Will it get as far north as Boston? I think you could get some light snow. But, Jersey Shore, it's snowing like crazy tomorrow morning. Snowing in Delaware. Snowing pretty good in New York City. But by the time we get into like tomorrow morning, the meat of the system's just about done. You're still dealing with some lingering light to moderate snow in the New York City area. How the trends that we watch over the next 12 to 18 hours, how far north will this trend? Could this get more of southern New England into the mix? It could. It's something that we watch. We'll watch to see if this low pressure deepens more than what it's forecast right now. If it does, it'll try to move a little bit further north. But that's some very heavy snow right off the coast of southern New England. Very, very, very heavy snow. And we could just be dealing with lingering snow tomorrow morning and afternoon for your Saturday. Could get just snow squalls after this. We could. But talking about how much snow you could get per hour, this is hourly snowfall rates, okay? Could get a period of maybe a half an inch per hour rates into Pittsburgh, southern sections of Pennsylvania. An inch per hour rates are possible once we get later into this evening to tonight. But then you check out this area right here, West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia. Inch and a half per hour rates are possible in the middle of the night. And then you're going to get these rates that move into DC just after midnight tonight, where you could get, I know I would stay up all night for this for sure in Baltimore and DC. But, anywhere from DC all the way up to Philadelphia, you could get a period of half inch to an inch per hour snowfall rates in these areas. And, so it's going to be snowing pretty good. It's going to be a pretty snow, I think. It's not going to be one of those snows that cripples an entire city with a foot. It's not going to be too bad. Broad look at the snowfall forecast for this area, and they've bumped everything up, guys. Let's see if there's any new information. But they have bumped everything up. No new information. Now, several inches of snow is forecast for West Virginia, Western Maryland. Now you're up to around 3 to 4 inches of snow in D.C. There is an abrupt cutoff, and I know it's going to disappoint my people here in Southern Virginia. You're begging for that south trend, but man, there is an abrupt cutoff in the snowfall. We'll see what happens, though. This is going to be a nice Delmarva snowstorm. There's going to be an abrupt cutoff in Southern Maryland, too. And then we're going to get a few inches of snow potentially up here into the NYC region. I think this will be a nice event for southern Pennsylvania. I do think northern areas and northeast areas of Pennsylvania could overachieve. You're going to have better snowfall rates. Well, I think the National Weather Service is the best way to go with this. No point in comparing the Euro and the GFS at this point. Check out my folks in Pittsburgh. Up to 3 to 4 inches of snow now forecast. You go down to Morgantown, 4 to 6. Wheeling, 3 to 4. Weirton, 2 to 3 inches of snow. So it's a graphic out of the Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Eastern Ohio area. We check out my friends here in the State College region and surrounding areas. Harrisburg, 3 to 4. State College. I think that's 1 to 2 in State College. 2 to 3 in Lewistown. Bedford, 4 to 6. Chambersburg, 4 to 6 inches of snow. Lancaster, 4 to 6. Then we head on down here. Check this out. Oakland, 5 to 8. Cumberland, 4 to 5. Hagerstown, 3 to 4. Warrenton, 3 to 4. Orange, 2 to 3. And in Virginia, Charlottesville, now to 1 to 2. Harrisburg, 4 to 5 inches. Washington, 3 to 4. Washington, D.C., 3 to 4. Baltimore, 3 to 4. And you get down to Fredericksburg, guys, now going for about 2 to 3 inches of snow. So there's been a bump up across the board. We could get another bump up. We go down to the Wakefield region, Richmond, inch or less. Just unfortunately, Southeast Virginia is kind of in the same category as the Carolinas and Georgia. Has just not been a great winter at all. Hasn't even really been a winter if you just compare winter to winter weather falling. Cambridge, Maryland, 3 to 4. Salisbury, 3 to 4 inches. A nice event, but there's going to be an abrupt cutoff somewhere in here. And then we head on up the road to the Philadelphia region, 3 to 4 in Philadelphia, 3 to 4 in Wilmington, 3 to 4 in Dover. I think the Jersey Shore and just pretty much all of central and north and southern sections of New Jersey is good for a 3 to 4 inch snowfall. Somerville, 2 to 3. Allentown, 2 to 3. Reading, 3 to 4. Mount Pocono, 2 to 3. This is as of right now. NYC, going for 2 inches of snow. JFK, 2 to 3. Newark, 2 to 3. This area could increase. It really could. So you got to pay attention to the trends today. Get the latest information. Southern Connecticut, not going to get much from this. But, pay attention to new trends in this area for sure. And we'll take it all the way up into the Binghamton area. We'll have to watch for trends up in here too. Snowfall could forecast could change into a higher forecast totals into this area. So that's the last big update. Let's talk about the rest of the country really quick here. The southeast will just get a soggy day, especially in the western Gulf coastline. Rain will be falling across the coastal regions of Louisiana, Mississippi, even getting into Alabama. And this will eventually start to move some light rain this evening into the panhandle of Florida, extreme southern sections of Georgia. And then we're going to get some thunderstorms potentially crossing Tennessee, moving into northern Mississippi. That thin line of thunderstorms also in northern Louisiana, areas of Arkansas later on today. And then this will kind of fall apart by the time we move into our Saturday morning. But we will be waking up to some light rain across southern sections of Alabama for our Saturday morning. Talking about the Northeast, some lingering light snow will kind of move on out for Maine by the time we get into early this afternoon. We'll get a quieter period for a brief time. And then between this snow event that we just talked about and then cold air spilling over the Great Lakes, the lake effect snow bands will get going again tonight. And then we'll waken up tomorrow morning with this area of light snow moving through eastern PA, southern areas of New York State. And then we're going to get some kind of vigorous looking snow squalls that I think are possible across areas of the Northeast, moving through southern Ontario, through Pennsylvania, even like Northeast Ohio. I think this is a storyline that isn't being talked about much, but these, could create brief whiteout conditions in this area tomorrow afternoon. In fact, we look at snowfall between now and Sunday morning, several inches now. This is picking up on what's falling right now already. So this is kind of the grand tally, right? But going for about several more inches of snow in New York State in general is expected in this area. Tug Hill Plateau will get hit hard, especially points south. So the south central U.S. today going to continue to deal with the rain most of the morning and early afternoon through the coastal regions of Texas. And then I really want to watch Arkansas. I'm telling you, we're going to get some hailstorms in Arkansas today. I am very surprised there's not a marginal risk for hail. And I don't think we're going to get gigantic hail. I just think we're going to get these storms that are going to produce very small hail. In fact, look at this impressive looking storm in central Arkansas right here. Almost has a supercell look to it. We are going to see hail in Arkansas this afternoon. You guys will have to let me know. I know this isn't being talked about as much because of the snow events, but also in western Tennessee, even northern Mississippi. I'm just so surprised there's not a marginal risk of hail in this area. But please be aware of this. Be aware of this, and Little Rock points north into the northern half of Arkansas. I'm telling you. And then these storms will kind of trail off. And I do want to mention, there's a lot of little things ongoing today. There is some snow flying around in areas of northern Colorado. Later this evening, this will bring some snow later tonight into the Denver area and pretty much move it all the way across areas of Colorado. We'll get some snow that we're waking it up to probably around Dodge City tomorrow morning in Kansas. And then some snow will kind of be trailing off into the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas most likely. And, speaking of the snow for Colorado, this is what it looks like. A few inches of snow forecast for Denver and just some light amounts for eastern areas of Colorado. Not a whole lot in this area, but I will zoom into Denver. Going for about 3 inches, 3 to 4 inches of snow in the Denver area. So hopefully this helps you guys out in this region, but definitely some accumulating snow on the way. The north central U.S., we won't speak on this. We've already talked about it. But as this cold air spills over the Great Lakes again, you're going to get some big-time lake effect snow ongoing in the UP of Michigan today, even into the northern sections of lower Michigan. Snow will be flying around. It'll be heavy at times. And, you'll definitely be getting some heavy bursts of snow grinding all the way down the eastern shorelines of Lake Michigan. So you'll be picking up snow as getting to this evening, the overnight hours. It's still snowing all the way into our Saturday. It starts to let up a little bit, but you're still getting a good bit of snow. But between now and Sunday morning, several inches of snow in the UP of Michigan and also in northern lower Michigan is expected. In fact, we'll just go on and look at these individual graphics. This is just between now and tomorrow morning. This isn't the grand tally. So several inches of snow. You guys were starting to dry up here as far as snow. You're definitely, starting to get a lot more snow on the ground up here for your later portion of winter for sure. Western U.S., just dealing with some snows across the northern Rockies, a little bit of snow in the Cascades. We'll get some moderate to heavy snow that flies around across Wyoming today. We'll add several inches of snow to the ground out here, and then that same system will drift off into Colorado later on this afternoon, this evening, into the overnight hours. And here's just kind of a strung out looking system that'll be bringing some rain from the central California coastline all the way to the Washington coastline as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Definitely a much warmer system. Snowfall from this in the northern plains, several inches of snow expected in like Yellowstone National Park, eastern sections of Idaho, and then the southern mountain ranges of Wyoming will be getting several inches of snow also. So to round this off, we'll look at temperatures. There will be a tight gradient in Arkansas. If you go into the northern counties of Arkansas, it'll struggle to get out to 30s. You head on down to Little Rock, it'll get into the 70s. So there'll be a wild temperature gradient. Temperatures will actually be dropping in areas of the southern plains today. Dallas will be an area where you'll start off probably warmer in the morning hours, and you'll probably drop this evening temperature-wise. But a nice day across the southeast, warming across the 60s and 70s. I feel like lately February has just been an extension, kind of a backwards extension of spring. It doesn't even feel like a winter month in the southeast anymore, if I'm being honest. But the northeast, chilly day, very chilly day, setting the tone for this winter weather event coming in. But it'll get pretty warm in the mid-Atlantic ahead of this winter weather event. But it's still going to be pretty chilly, especially once you work your way a little bit further north in the mid-Atlantic. But you see this pocket of colder air right here. This is where snow is going to be falling. The precipitation falling is allowing for cooler temperatures at the surface. That's why you see this weird pocket of sub-freezing temperatures right in here. And then it's pretty chilly where it's supposed to be cold. Finally, up here in the northern sections of the lower 48, the northern plains, the north central U.S., it's locked in below freezing into the teens for highs. This is where it's supposed to be this cold, and it just hasn't been. Pretty warm across the west, though. It'll be a nice day, especially in the southwest. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and have a wonderful Friday.